Hello, my name is Kelly McCown. I'm the teacher, author, and owner of Teaching Math and More, LLC. Today on the Teaching Math and More channel, we're moving on to part 2 of our series, How to Have Your Best Year Teaching Math. And we're talking about how to fix bad student behaviors in your classroom now. Some students will act with bad behaviors in your classroom. Be proactive to fix these bad student behaviors with the 3 C's of classroom management. The 3 C strategies are connection, compassion, and consistency. Each strategy can help fix your students' bad behavior and turn them into well-behaved kids. Number 1, create connections. Create a connection with your students. They need to have a buy-in to your classroom management, and you are the key to the buy-in. If they have a connection with you as their teacher, they know that you support them and are there to help them. So how do you create connection? Greet your students in the morning or at the beginning of the class period. Make sure you make eye contact, as that is very important for personal connections to occur. Say their name and ask them how their day is going. Everyone wants to be known and recognized. Saying, "Good morning, Sally," can brighten Sally's day if no one else has said it to her. Some teachers shake hands and others give high fives. Offer a high five or hand wave for a personal connection and greeting into your classroom. Lastly, learn something about every kid that they like to do. For example, do they like baseball, band, swimming, biking, crafts? By doing this, you are showing interest in the student and their importance to your classroom. You can also use this to include in math problems around the subject of baseball or band, and your kids will appreciate it. Number 2, teach with compassion. Teaching with compassion is not always easy, but it's necessary. When you teach with compassion, your students will see that you want everyone to thrive and learn in your classroom, which reinforces your connection to your students. Your students just want to be known and seen in your classroom, and they are learning and growing with you and want your help even though they don't always know how to show it. Model compassion to your students with your actions. And as a result, students will be more open to understanding to others around them. Number 3, be consistent. Being consistent with your rules and consequences. Students respect teachers who have rules and are consistent with their rules and consequences for all students. They see you as a fair teacher that wants everyone to learn, behave, and be their best self. Be consistent with your rules and consequences. Consistency is so important. Rules are good to have, but unless you are being consistent and enforcing them, they mean absolutely nothing. Create your rules for your classroom. When students don't follow the rule, give a proper consequence. Rules are a way of saying no after you establish 5 or less basic rules in your classroom for your students so that they know what your expectations are. Follow up with your expectations with a consequence. If you do X, then you get a Y consequence. Explain to your students that every bad behavior has a consequence and they are responsible. When you have a problem that arises in your classroom, if you have expectations and consequences in place, you'll be able to easily remedy the problem with a solution. The good news is there is a fix for bad behavior. Create connections with your students, teach with compassion, and be consistent with a classroom management plan. Your students will enjoy your class, room, and you more if you're consistent with all 3. Every teacher knows behavior problems are inevitable, but what if you could prevent it? When it's time to start learning in the classroom, wouldn't it be great if your kids were listening and being respectful during the lesson? There were less behavior problems to deal with, and your students showed more responsibility? Avoid it by planning on helping your students now. Be ready to implement your rules and have your students behaving. The Good Behavior Toolkit is the fastest way to implement your rules, procedures, and consequences in your classroom. Be ready this school year with the best behavior management tool, the Good Behavior Toolkit. Get yours today. The link is available in the comments below this video. Included are behavior plans, interventions, techniques, and much more. For more information about the Good Behavior Toolkit, be sure to check out the Teaching Math and More shop. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. See you next week for part 3 of our series, How to Have Your Best Year Teaching Math.